So this is my very first, the heck you want to call this? I don't know. Is it a podcast? Isn't it called this? I don't think it's a podcast. Anyway, it's kind of like a walk along, walk through, introduction, whatever of this project I'm working on. It's a '66 GTO post car, which is kind of rare. Doesn't make it worth anything more than a regular GTO, but maybe a little less actually. But there was actually less of these produced than than convertibles back in '66. Uh, a lot of them are gone now because a lot of guys used to like to drag race them because with that post it gave it a little more strength. You know, it prevented the car from twisting a little bit. And I guess that was attractive to drag racers back then. So they drag raced them and blew them up and crashed them and junked them, and that was it. And a lot of them weren't saved. So anyway, this guy bought this car from a body shop. I don't know how much he paid for it, but I know that he had it repainted. This is not the original color. This is like some kind of Honda color or something, a Civic color. It's actually pretty nice though. He had the car repainted. The deal was they had to get it running and driving, and the guy would buy the car from them and take it. So his plan was immediately after the car was put together, painted, and all that stuff, and left the body shop, it was going to come to me. I'd built cars previously for this guy, and he said basically he wanted the car to handle good, and he wanted it to stop good, and he wanted some pep, nothing crazy. Keep the stock engine, the 389. This is a tri-power car. Wasn't a tri-power car originally. Somebody added it later on, God knows when. But needless to say, it had tri-power. He said he also wanted fuel injection, but he wanted tri-power. So I said, well, Phytech makes a kit for, converting to EFI, and it's a tri-power setup. You can use a stock manifold with it, and there's some other modifications you had to do because it was based off a Holly 2300 setup, and these cars were, I think, Rochester carburetors on it, and they had a smaller bolt pattern. So right off the bat, here I go having to modify stuff. I had to find these. They make adapter plates that changes the spread so you can accommodate a 2300 setup on it. They made that. It was like billet aluminum or something like that. So I got that. I put that on there, and then the fuel injection basically went together like any other fuel injection system. Fuel line I did returnless. I put it a in-tank pump off of a stock sender that Holly makes now, and it regulates out in the back too, so you don't have to run two fuel lines. You can use, if you wanted to, you could use a stock fuel line, but I didn't. I put in a 3/8 braided fuel line, fuel injection line, of course, and then wired it, and I put Petronix flamethrower ignition in it. Got rid of the points. And also he wanted a front runner kit, so I went to CVF Racing. I got a front runner kit from them, but there's a little trick to that though. Here's the hitch. In '66 they only had an 8-bolt water pump. Everything after, I think it was '68, went to 11-bolt. All the kits are made to accommodate, well, not accommodate, but to be used on an 11-bolt setup. So I had to change the timing chain cover and the water pump. So no big deal. Everybody makes the timing chain cover for the thing. So I got a timing chain cover, got the water pump. I went to put everything together, and guess what? It didn't fit. I had interference between the water inlet and the back of the timing chain cover. Why? At the time, I didn't know. So I got on the internet, started searching around, found out that up until I believe it was about 1968 or 69, they had a recess in the back of the timing chain cover because of the tri-power cars. The water inlet, but the thermostat housing was on the front of the intake manifold, and obviously stuck out a little bit more than a regular 4-valve manifold. So the only thing I could do was I just got a grinder and started grinding on the taking material off of the thermostat housing. You know, and luckily that thing's thick enough where you can get away with it, and you can get, you can make it fit. It works. But, obviously you can't go crazy running. It's a slow process. You take a little bit at a time, and until you finally, have the clearance. Because remember, you got to be able to get that thing on and off to change your thermostat as well. But thankfully, if you took just two bolts, not two uh, studs, put two bolts in it, you pull a bolt out, you can slide the whole thing out from between the manifold and the back of the water pump. So, that probably sounded a little weird. But anyway, I'm thinking, going through this all in my head as I'm telling you this. So you got to kind of bear with me. Anyway, so I got the front runner kit on it. Front runner kit looked awesome. Everything's great. Put the belt on. Got the fuel injection squared away. Also, I didn't mention I changed the fuel tank. Because when I went to drain the fuel out of the tank, I guess I just got the car in the garage. I just made it because maybe I had maybe a half a gallon of gas left in it. And the gas that was in there was like orange and brown, and it was garbage. I don't even know what the inside of the carburetors look like because I didn't care. I didn't take them apart. I don't care what they look like inside. I'm not using them. So I went out and bought a new tank for it. Put a new tank in the thing. These guys sold this guy a run and driving car, but this car wouldn't have run for more than another couple of minutes before it just pulled in all kinds of crap into the, fuel pump, into the carburetor bowls, and just wreaked havoc all over the place. So anyway, I did the fuel system. Everything was new. I did spark plug wires, distributor cap. I did some nice, little spark plug wire organizing things, some billet aluminum stuff. Made it look nice, painted the motor in some spots that needed it, and it came out pretty good. It looked real nice. So then after that, I moved on to the suspension. I did all UMI tubular suspension, everything. I did coil-over conversion kit in the front and the rear. What else? I did Willwood disc brakes, big brake kit, and that brought us to the next stumble. I told the guy before he even brought the car to me, just put a set of steel wheels, any kind of steel wheels on the car. I don't care what they are, just rollers. Because when you go to do the Willwood brakes, I can almost guarantee you they're not going to fit with the stock rims. So what did he do? He went out and bought stock Rally 1 Pontiac wheels, 15x7s for it. And what happened? They didn't fit over the calipers. So I called him and told him the great news. He was very happy to hear that he wasted his money on those rims. And then I started looking around, and I found a set of 17x8 rims. They were kind of like a rally wheel, so like a retro type thing, but they're all aluminum. And so I got those with a set of red line tires, low profile, and they fit like a glove. They look beautiful. They handle better because they're wider and harder and this and that. So that was basically, I'm trying to think if there was anything else, but I don't think there was. Oh, he wanted a stereo system, so I put a nice stereo system in it. Oh, and the other thing that I found when the car got here from the body shop, I'm looking under the car and I keep seeing antifreeze coming out. I said, how the heck, where's this antifreeze coming from? I look under the hood, it's not coming from under the hood. Yeah, if you haven't guessed it yet, it was the heater core. This car had brand new carpet, brand new interior in it. Well, guess what happened to the carpet? Not brand new anymore, it was garbage. It was so sopping wet with antifreeze that I ripped it out and threw it in the garbage. It was that cheapy cut loop crap, I don't know. I didn't really like it. It's more like indoor-outdoor carpeting to me. So I just went and I bought some, what do you call it, like the deluxe super plush carpet that I don't know what the hell company it is. Anyway, they're a main company, but I'm not going to try to even guess the name of it. Like Automat or some crap like that, but it was really nice carpet. So this being said, I took that carpet out. I'm drying the inside of it, trying to sop up all the antifreeze. Every time I turn around, there's antifreeze again. I'm like, where's the antifreeze coming from? Turns out these guys dynamated the car, but they didn't use the roller on the floor. So they had tons of air pockets. And guess where the antifreeze ended up? in those air pockets. Every time you smush down on the Dynamat, it would squeeze it all out of the seams. So I ended up ripping some of the Dynamat out, which is a job in itself, and drying everything up, and replacing the Dynamat that I took out. So now I get into it. I get up there. I pull the heater box out, and of course it looked like the heater box has been in there since the day of the flood. It was disgusting. Everything was full of rust. There was only half a firewall pad was on the firewall, because I guess they had to do something, so they just ripped it all out and left it on the existing stuff underneath the heater box, because they didn't feel like taking the heater box out. These guys are supposed to be restoration guys. I'm not even going to get into it. It's ridiculous. So I ended up having to take all the firewall padding down. I had to wire wheel the whole firewall, because that was all loaded with rust and crap from, I don't think they really paint inside there back, at the factory in the 60s. I think they're just banging stuff out. So I ended up wire wheeling it all, painting it, and then I got the, Dynamat makes a firewall pad. So you don't have to deal with that horsehair, that thick, junky shit one that falls apart, and you can't get bolts through it because it's 9 inches thick. So I put that thing on it. Worked beautiful. At the same time, I took the heater box, I threw that in the garbage, went out and bought vintage air for the car. Best thing you could do. Vintage air is smaller, it's more efficient, it's lighter, it just works better, just way better. If you can afford to spend the money, because it's not cheap either. It's at least $1,500 for the setup. So anyway, I put that in, put the new controls in, did the stereo system, carpeting, the seats were okay. I had to modify the back panel, the package tray, because I wanted the 6x9 speakers to be underneath the tray. I didn't want to see them. I couldn't find a perforated reproduction package tray for this car. So basically, I drilled holes in it, but I used some pegboard left over from my garage. I put it over as a template and made the holes, and it came out perfect. It looked beautiful. There was like a screen on it. I put the screen over it and stuff. It came out good. And so what else? I noticed there was a couple of oil leaks on the engine. This engine was supposed to have been rebuilt. It wasn't. It was rebuilt, but if you want to call it that. Turns out the rear main seal was bad. Oil pan gasket was leaking. And as you may know, on any kind of Pontiac, pretty much any Pontiac of these generations and later, I think Trans Am and stuff too, you can't get the oil pan off this car and do a rear main seal unless you pull the motor out of the car. Now, what makes it even worse on a 66 is it's a rope seal. You got to drop the crank out to get the rope seal, unless you want to play with that Sneaky Pete thing and tear at it and try to get the new one in, and then guarantee that new one didn't get screwed up when you put it in there, and have enough confidence to put the pan back on, put the motor back in the car. I'm not taking that risk. So I pulled the motor out of the car, pulled everything apart. Now I'm looking at, I pulled the main cap off, the rear cap, and I can see that the crank is, all the cross hatching is pretty much worn off of it. You need the cross hatching on there because it directs the oil back into the oil pan as the crankshaft is spinning, as per direction of the crankshaft. So I guess when they rebuilt it, I don't know why, but they never redid the crank back there. They just slapped the rope seal in there and put it together and said, okay, it's a new rope seal, and the thing friggin' pissed out oil all over the place. So I took the crank out, I brought it over to the machine shop, had the guy take a look at it. He said to me that it was so worn that even if you put a new main seal, rear main seal in there, it wouldn't even have fixed the problem, because the actual circumference of that journal was so worn out that the rear main wouldn't even seal. So I bought a new crankshaft. I get a new crankshaft. I got the best. It's the best company, best gasket company, makes a rear main seal that the machinist said is the best one for it. So I got that. I had to have the crank balanced. I got the crank balanced. I'm doing some other stuff, put the thing back together, looking at the heads, and I noticed that the rocker shafts are all in, the rocker studs are all crooked I'm like, why are they crooked? Well, apparently somebody decided back in that day that they were going to hand drill the heads, pull the studs, hand drill them, thread them, and put screw-in studs in. No, that doesn't work. You can't just drill it freehand and expect it to be straight. So, needless to say, the rockers were riding uneven on the valve stems. So, when I first started this car up after I got done doing all the work, it smoked like you wouldn't believe. And then all of a sudden it didn't. And then all of a sudden it did. Well, what was happening was the valve either wasn't spinning or it was crooked in the guide, letting oil get past. Once in a while it would get to the sweet spot and it wouldn't smoke anymore. So off came the heads. Went to the machine shop. Machine shop said probably about $2,000 or so. They're gonna have to do a valve job and blah 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 blah. So I just went on some and brought a set of Ram Air, what was it, 4? I think Ram Air 4 heads that I made for the 389, aluminum, Edelbrock. Put them on, bought some roller rockers, put them in, and put it all back together, and it runs awesome now. So anyway, that is 16 minutes of your life that you're never going to get back if you're watching this right now. There's a lot of other stuff going on. I decided, well, I didn't decide, the customer decided that we were going to get rid of this transmission. Somebody put a 204R in here, which everybody knows is an overdrive transmission from the 80s. It is it has a multi-bolt pattern on the bell housing, so you can use it on Pontiac, Olds, Buick, Chevy. So somebody put it in here. I don't like it. I think it shifts like crap. I can't get it to shift properly. I just foresee many problems with it. And this guy's not going to put many miles on the car, but he's very particular about it, and he's going to beat it up once in a while. So I suggested a 4-speed Muncie. This car could have come with either a Power Glide or a 4-speed Muncie back in '66. Who wants a Power Glide? Well, drag racers that modify them, yeah, they want them. I don't want a 2-speed transmission in a car. It's not going to work. We had put 350 gears in it. So I decided, a buddy of mine had a Muncie, an M21 wide ratio, and I think that's going to work perfect. So we're going to convert it over to standard shift, and that is where I'm at right now with the car. I just pulled it into my garage. I got all the parts, hopefully, and I'm going to start the conversion soon. I'm going to drop this 204R out of here and, do away with that thing and just start changing everything over. And, it should be fun. It should be real fun. I decided to do the 4-speed Muncie because Tremec is super expensive. 480, super expensive. All good stuff, but just big bucks. And honestly, this guy doesn't need a 480. He doesn't need a 6-speed or a 5-speed Tremec. The 4-speed Muncie would be a pisser to drive the car, and it's gonna be much more attractive if he ever decides to sell it. People want the standard shift, except for maybe young people that don't know how to drive standard shift. They can learn though. So anyway, that's about it. Like I said, I'm gonna get started on it. Not tonight because I work for a living, and it's like probably 8 o'clock at night now, and I'm tired. So I'm gonna go in and watch Netflix, and then tomorrow night I'll probably start pulling the auto training out of here, and got a lot of stuff to do. Do I want to do it? Yeah. No, not real. Well, yeah. Well, no, I don't, but it is what it is. So, anyway, thanks for watching this stupid video that I just made, and I probably sound like some kind of crazy person. And that's it. Bye.